Hello, I am Holly Chapman, and I would say that I identify as bisexual.
Hi, I'm Will Baker, and I am a gay man.
I am a 23-year-old gay man.
I identify as gay.
Feminist theory is a very broad theory that investigates many topics, to include gender roles, sexuality, and stereotypes, and how they affect individuals in society. The main goal of feminist theory is to gain a better understanding of how these topics interact with one another in order to ensure equality for those who might not receive equal treatment within these topics.
Yes.
Elaborate a little bit.
Well, I can say I'm feminine and masculine. There's just certain phrases that you would hear predominantly in the gay community. I gotta say all the time, or I don't know, when I comment on someone how they look. If I think a guy looks good, I say it, and then it's like no remorse behind it.
I would say that women normally assume my sexuality based off of the way that I dress and my mannerisms, but men typically do not. Think that they usually assume that I'm straight.
I can be described as being somewhat flamboyant. People can say that I have said that I have like a gay accent, my mannerisms and stuff like that.
The military often shares many characteristics of the common workplace. However, West Point is an interesting combination of the workplace, military, and education. We were interested in gaining a better understanding of how the combination of the three would affect sexual minorities' social interactions.
In some ways, probably my sexuality has affected my social capital. I think it was worse in the last company I was in because um, I was a plebe and a yuck, and um, I feel like it was more like I was tolerated than I was like supported. As a person and as a gay man, um, I feel very supported in the company I'm in now, and I think like I do have a decent amount of social capital. Um, I do kind of wonder if that's at all impacted by my sexuality.
In a way, yes. It depends. Um, I would say it depends on the age range, because if I like me being one of the oldest people in my class, it's kind of hard to interact with people who are more mature and understand like sexuality and concept. So they also have like influences from back at home. They really don't have their own self identity of how to navigate the world. So it's kind of hard to like, because I'm really true of who I am. It's kind of hard to be who I am with people not trying to force their influence back at home onto me.
In my personal experience, obviously in social environments, there's always going to be people that you either do or do not gravitate towards. There have been social circles that, because of my sexuality, I do not gravitate towards. Um, and that's just in my personal life and all over. Generally, the treatment that I've gotten, like as a gay man, has been overall positive. Like I said, I'm on the boxing team. There hasn't really been very many instances, or if any at all, of someone directly having an issue with me because of my sexuality. And if they did that, I did not know it. I like to think of myself as a very personal individual. I'm kind of extroverted, a little bit outgoing. So I think my personality, even if people did have an issue, it didn't show. And they had no reason to act any kind of way, any kind of way towards me. And I moved through social circles pretty easily. And I really haven't found that being gay gets in the way of that too much, anyway.
Historically, sexual minorities have had a difficult experience in the workplace, often because of people's beliefs about established gender norms. More specifically, people often act on their implicit biases regarding how they feel someone is supposed to act and thus be attracted to.
There's certain things that I would say people will say is more acceptable of a masculine culture. Like there's certain things that are expected of men, and there are things that are expected of women, and then certain things that I do that you might not see other men do, and I do them, and people be looking at me like I'm crazy. For instance, if I have something hanging off my backpack that has to deal with like pride, right? People will correct me on that rather than making the standard correction of no, you're not allowed to have things affixed to your backpack, right? They just point that out because it's what stood out to them, and it just like it makes me want to conform to the societal norms, but at the same time it's just like people are just gonna be ignorant.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I have been affected by gender norms while I go to school here. I think, I feel like when I'm outside of West Point, I don't really necessarily feel like a gay person, I mean, I'm still gay, but like I don't feel like I'm like as quote unquote different. But I feel like here people can easily see that I'm gay, because I guess I just don't fit into this like hyper like masculine macho culture that we have here sometimes. And like another thing is there's kind of like in company there's like the girls and there's the guys, and like being gay is interesting because you're like between the two. Like all the girls are close to the girls and the guys are close to the guys, and like I'm close to the girls and also the guys, so it is like this like interesting in between.
I feel like the standard gender norms do not really affect the way that I act in uniform.
The following statistics highlight some of the difficulties that sexual minorities often experience in the workplace. 46% of LGBTQIA+ workers have experienced unfair treatment at work at some point in their lives. Additionally, 38% of LGBTQIA employees reported experiencing harassment at work. Lastly, 34% of LGBTQIA+ employees have left a job due to treatment by their employer.
I think that females probably at West Point and in the military are more likely to be accepted if they are gay or bisexual or just in the LGBTQ community. Whereas I think for men it's probably a little bit harder because they face harsher judgments from peers and I would say like authority figures, everybody.
This week there was a like gay pride luncheon thing, and my RTO, the soup, and the dean were all there to support the gay community. So that was really awesome to see. So I think like there is kind of a drive for that like non-inclusive culture to change.
Being programs such as Sharp and EO kind of make a framework of an accepting environment, and it's pretty easy to, if someone is being like outwardly hateful specifically because of sexual orientation or something like that, it's like very easy to point them out.
In a sense, yes, but I feel like the academy has the same atmosphere as the rest of the world. Like you have the people who are, that disagree with you, but they disagree behind your back, and that's why you have like things anonymous platforms like Yodel, for example, where people just say like hateful things, but they won't outwardly express it. And I think that's what kind of structure the atmosphere here, because we're all in the military, and you just can't say certain things out loud because you can get EO'd or things of that nature. So they kind of just repent from saying what they really want to say, but you can kind of feel it, like you just feel it in the atmosphere, and you just have to gauge based off of that how you're going to interact around certain people.